Sometimes I wish we could go back to a time when things weren't so complicated.
Welcome to the complexity of toilet paper, the podcast that dives into the everyday moments where we overthink, hesitate, or just get stuck.
I'm overthinking. I'm overthinking.
Let's hear it for the toilet paper!
Through honest conversations, unexpected insights, and a whole lot of humor, your hosts Phyllis Martin, Mark Pollock, and Al Emmerich are here to help you roll with it and make your life a little less complicated. One conversation at a time.
That's right, dude. The beauty of this is its simplicity.
Speaking of which, it's time to enter the stall. Put the lid down, or not, depending. Get comfortable, and roll with it.
Oh, worry not, dear friend. It's really quite simple.
This is the complexity of toilet paper. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good midday, good manana-ish. I mean, what do you say when somebody, like, when you're doing a podcast and anybody could be listening at any time? I guess you just say hello.
I was going to say a simple hello.
Yeah.
Or howdy.
Or hey there.
Hiya.
Hey there. What's up?
Mm-hmm. Any one of those probably would work just fine. I mean,
Well,
we could
hello-
overcomplicate it and make sure we hit every time zone. But,
Which is exactly what we're
that's cool.
doing.
That's cool.
That'd be a good way to start.
Yeah.
Is it
So
hello? Hey there. How are ya? Howdy, partner. Good day to you.
Oh, I like that.
And-
I like
and
the
then we'll-
howdy partner.
And then we'll just have
You'd
to
be a
find
good
out
Texan.
what countries our listenership is in, and then we just need to learn some additional languages like ciao, hola,
Shalom.
shalom.
Shalom. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well,
Now that we've
with that
solved
in
that,
mind, that we've solved that. I want to say hello and how are you all doing, but I want to give our wonderful friends and the people listening from all over the global universe of the world, as well as maybe extraterrestrials who may be tapping in here. See, Mark, Phyllis, and Al, speaking in fourth person right now, we all got together the weekend before we were recording this particular episode, and it was our first gathering. And meaning in physical space with one another. Mark and I have been in the same physical space. Phyllis and I have been in the same physical space. Phyllis and Mark had never even met each other except via Zoom, or, well, in this case, our recording methodology, Descript, or whatever it's called. Anyway.
Inside our stall.
We went inside the stall, and we spent a day and a half together, and man, we punched through some stuff. But we thought hard, we played hard, we made decisions, we stopped ourselves from overcomplicating, and then we recomplicated. I want to know how you guys are doing.
I'm still trying to recover, quite honestly. that was a lot in a day and a half. And I think that if you've been listening to the show and you're in love with the episodes, man, with the stuff that we came up with, you are going to absolutely love the next tranche of stuff that we put out. It's going to be incredible. I cannot wait to start diving into all these subjects. I really can't. Like, I'm giddy.
I'm the same way. I just was like, I was so exhausted. So, Phil, what you don't know is that Mark and I, on the way home, more from a personal standpoint, which we should just start a separate podcast, which we could do 2 years worth of content from the 4 hours we were in the car. But I will say this. On the way home, we had already exhausted all the brain cells for the podcast. But it was like God was in the back seat with his hand on me and his hand on Mark's shoulder, saying all the things that are the pains in front of you right now, the challenges in front of you, and you know some of these, obviously, Phil. It was like he was shepherding the conversation, and Mark was just his apostle. It was incredible. I mean, no, I'm not joking. I am not. I know I'm. You can say shocker. I know I'm melodramatic at times. Go ahead.
You?
No, not at all.
Unheard of.
Oh my.
Unthinkable. Unspeakable.
I would actually give you guys like a 5 on the sarcasm there. I thought it was going to be like closer to an 8 or 10. Anyway, it was this. So that was its own incredible experience, which just capped off this. But the ideas, the energy, but also watching you two, other than doing it in the show, seeing you two together was such a joy. And Phil, you're an amazing host. Like, you threw it
Thank
down,
you.
girl.
Thank you,
you
kind
and-
sir.
You and Tim, we are going to stay there as much as we can. Mark and I decided.
All the time. In fact, we'll be there. We'll be there Friday. Yeah. Whatever that pork loin that you made was fantastic.
Food's
we
good,
could do that
drinks
again.
good, bed's good,
Yeah.
and so much toilet paper all over the house.
All over.
Okay, here's a question. Where did the 2 extra pillows come from, Mark, in the room you were in? Were there 4 in there when you got there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Were there
was
really?
tons of pillows. Yeah. Yeah. I was all surrounded and cozy.
What?
Yeah.
I went in the other day and I was like, where'd the other 2 pillows come from?
No, I didn't.
All right.
Mark, did you go out in the middle of the night?
BYOP, baby. Bring your own pillow. No.
All right, good. Good for
No,
me.
I just thought you were a superb host and was
I
like, oh
am.
man, I'm going to make this bedroom like an Airbnb or something. It was It was great.
Yeah. We always say
I
we need
literally now have my house for sale. I am moving in, so I just it's
Come
great.
on.
Yeah. And so what are you thinking, Phil? Like, how did you wake up on Monday?
Well, let's do this. So I was obviously really happy to be in the space all together, and Mark, like a gift just to be with you, right? Like to physically be with you. Because it's so different than being over the Zoom or over this. And I felt like we had gotten such clarity over direction and just honed in on what we're really trying to do here and why. Equally as important. So that was great and like fun, but emotionally exhausting. I mean, there's just a lot that goes into doing that when you spend a day and a half with people just hammering it through. And then Saturday night, you all left Saturday. Saturday night was Seder number 1. Sunday night was Seder number 2. And I had the gift of going to my rabbi's house, but it was the full Monty Seder. So I got to his house. Tim went to at 8:30 and got home at 1 a.m. So I am still recovering from Tim said it best last night. He was like, you guys got here Friday. So like from Thursday night through Monday night, we've been going pretty hard. So yeah, but all good stuff, not a single thing to complain about. All magnificent.
A good Passover? Then?
Beautiful Passover.
Excellent.
All is well.
That's awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do need to admit to you, well, first, let's tell the wonderful people that are living their life while we're recanting ours. If you're just joining us for the very first time, while this is only audio, each of us commits to bringing our own roll of toilet paper to the recording. We can see each other, and if anybody thinks there's some shit going down that shouldn't be, well, we can call you out and with the toilet paper. I, however, realized just a moment before this show that I was empty. There is like one.
Barely a piece, people.
I'm going to take a
Barely a
picture.
piece.
Please don't.
I'm going to take a picture right now. Actually, I'm just going to screenshot this. So here we go. That way, I'll put it we can put it in the show notes. So stand by. Here, we're going to take our squad shot. Here we go. Yeah. No, here you go. Hold up your toilet paper. Okay.
I missed that one.
You did miss that
I
one.
did.
That's all right. That's
Put it
all
on the
right.
floor.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's either way. So, yeah, there it is. Mark.
Good. That's
Mark, you look like you've seen something horrible. And I look like I'm smelling something really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty fun.
That was great.
That's not good.
That was good.
All right.
Okay.
So the whole theory, and the reason I'm telling you that is that there at some point I'm going to explain what this means. Actually, no, I'll just say it now. When we get to the end of the roll of a toilet paper, it actually is a metaphor for what we most need to do to get through the complexity and the complications of life. Because when you're at the end of the roll of toilet paper, you don't have any other options. You may have a short-term option of getting some paper towel or a napkin.
Tissue.
That's tissue. That's not comfortable over long term. You have to go to the store, and you're going to make it a priority to go get some damn toilet paper. And so it's not like you can sit there and go, let me ponder this.
I feel like Mark would ponder it and come up with something that we are unaware of to substitute for toilet paper. It's a distinct possibility, but I hear you, Al, and I agree.
I'm trying to roll out a really
You're
deep
rolling
metaphor.
out good.
Thank you. So we all sat and decided a while back that we wanted to really dive into something that really is the root of this show, which is our shared pain. And it's the shared pain of our own. Why are you laughing?
Did you hear Phyllis's sigh? She's like, oh. Okay.
So we started this idea, this show, because we know we complicate things ourselves. We know that life is complex. Each one of us, our jobs, personally, professionally, our missions is to help other people in their lives get better in some way. And yet we keep standing in our own way. And so this whole show's framework is, how do we bust this apart? How do we give people license to realize that they can uncomplicate their life, decomplexify, and that the people that we meet, the stories we share, they're designed to help offer a true view into the world of, let's just make things a little more simple. But we never really sat and talked about the what's behind this. And we didn't practice this. It's not, we just said, hey, let's talk about our shared pain. None of our shows are rehearsed, or, we don't sit, we just plop an idea and say, all right, let's go investigate this. So shared pain is the theme of this show. And I guess maybe, I don't know, does one of you have a question that you want to kick this off?
That's a good question to ask. I don't know. I mean, we've talked about our shared pain, I think, in a previous episode, maybe at a high level of that we had it. And I think one of the things that hit me this weekend, and I don't know if we talked about it on our intro show or not, was the fact that we all lost parents at a young age. And I think that to me is a start of a shared pain that is unifying, and that our listenership may have also experienced the loss of a parent or loved one when they were young. And I guess my question would be to the both of you, what was it, and how do you, what was that loss? And what's one thing that you gained positively from that loss?
Yowzer. What was the first part of the question?
What was the loss? Who did you lose?
Yeah.
And what was one positive thing that came from that loss?
I can answer that because I've spent time on this.
Okay.
And it's always come back to the same. I lost my dad when I was 5. We lived in San Diego, California. He had a number of heart attacks in his life, apparently, but this one was a massive, gone. But he apparently came back and they saved his life, and he died again, saved his life, died again. That's the story I always knew. And that's important to me because it seemed to me like he didn't quit. Like he kept trying to come back, And that always stuck with me. And when I was a kid, I probably embellished the story. I don't really know how many times he actually came back. I probably told people 10, whatever, just because you're a kid and he's my dad. But he died when I was 5. And so the question is, what good came out of that versus how did it impact you, in the sense of what's the story? There's so many great stories and so many great people stepped into my life. But the thing that I learned was that people really do want to help you. The good that came out of that was my ability to learn to ask for help and to learn and realize that people do want to help.
Now, Al, did you realize that at 5, or was that something that later on in life, when you looked back, you're like, wow, all of these people stepped in? Like, when did that happen for you?
It started in stages leading up to me becoming a father, because my first wife had 2 kids, Dawn, and I stepped into being a father, but they weren't quote unquote my kids, even though they very much were my children.
Right.
But I always used to ask, like, what happens if I go? Right. And now there was other people and all that, but I had kind of become a major figure. And so I realized at that point, this connection to when I was a father, and then when I lost my own. But honestly, the sync of it all didn't come to me until I started preparing my keynotes.
And did those things that started sinking in, did that start forming complications in your life? Or
say that again?
So based on the past hurt that happened, you saw a positive. And the positive was you learned that people come into your life, people genuinely want to help, people want to support you. But it was a stared effect. Like at 5, you don't really get that. There's just all of a sudden a whole bunch of people in your house and you're like, why are you here? But then you said when you were preparing for your keynote, I'm curious as far as how did that show up as potentially complications? Because you've seen the positive, all the people who wanted to help, but how did that, as you're writing a keynote, a lot of times keynotes are to help other people, right? And so how did those complications show up to you? Or Phyllis, am I asking that wrong?
I think you're asking it backwards. I think he's saying things kind of synced out. Yeah, you're going to have to correct one of us, right?
Yeah.
So how I heard you say it was, Al, like things synced up for you in a positive way when you started doing your keynotes. Yeah. What I'm curious, and think, Mark, what you're curious about too is your dad died when you were 5. And what was the impact of that death on your ability to complicate your life or not complicate your life? Because loss or trauma at a young age, well, I'll speak for myself because I lost my mother when I was 15. She got Lou Gehrig's disease when I was 10. She died when I was 15. What I would tell you is that trauma, that loss, and that upheaval at such a young age made it almost impossible for me to find a clear path, period. So I had no resources to be okay with decisions. If somebody didn't affirm in a decision, I would assume that I had made a bad decision. If somebody corrected, even in a kind way, a decision that I made, I would go to pieces over time without, transparently years of therapy. That forced me to not be able to pull a trigger on decision making. So I entered the workforce. I had a great colleague, even later, even like in senior positions, who would say, Phyllis, pull the trigger. The old catchphrase, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. I couldn't find my way out of a paper bag where that was concerned. And that to me was the impact of a loss and an upheaval in my life at such a young age. The flip side of that is I wouldn't be who I am today, because you asked what good came out of that as well. And my truth is I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today without the natural courses of things that happened in my life. And as an adult, I really do believe this, and I write about this, I'm 100% positive that my mother has brought me to and brought to me the right women at the right time to carry me to the next leg of my journey. And now I would argue the right men at the right time to carry me to the next leg or to journey with me. But you all know this, I'm sure, just even from watching me in our time together, and Al from our time maybe in Jacksonville together. For a long time, it was really hard for me to just not hem and haw around words, to say exactly what I mean, for fear of, and you can fill in the end of that sentence. Ultimately, I became strong enough to face the fear and say, no, I'm going to live my life, right? It's one of the reasons we shared when we came together. I don't want to leave anything undone. I don't want to leave what I think is mine to do undone because I'm afraid. I have some kind of innate fear, which is old. It's a hangover from childhood. So I'll just finish with this. Even today, I was like, I got to tell somebody something. I don't want to do it. Mulling over every word. And then right before, I was getting ready to be with you, I was like, what is wrong with you? Just say it. Use your words. Use your words. I have a lot of words. So what's the worst that's going to happen, right? You might have to have a hard conversation. Who cares? Do it, right? The world's not coming to an end. I'm not getting kicked out. I'm not going to die. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah. Wow. That is the perspective, because it's funny. You asked the question from a positive sense, which plays to Al, because I always go positive.
I always go negative.
No, it's not positive. No, it's not that. So no, the answer again, though, is very, very clear to me. And thank you for that, Phyllis, because it really, really put this into light. And that is the fear of losing people, the fear of letting people down. I mean, it is something that I have battled my entire life. It's funny, people confuse confidence, drive, ambition, and they're all part of the same soup. And so I lost my dad at 5, and I just knew he wasn't there. And I had another loss in my family that was pretty significant. That really wasn't a loss, but it was temporary loss, and it came back. But during the period that it was gone, it was a very significant loss. And this relationship was vacant to me for a long time. And it's got a great ending, but during that window, I established a firm fear that I don't want to lose something. So I'm going to try my hardest so I don't let somebody down. And the intellectual side of my brain could always process it, but the emotional side would drive ahead, and it would force me to overthink things. I don't want to, let's put an extra 2 hours into that PowerPoint that never needed that 2 hours, because I'm going to be a perfectionist to make sure everybody's happy. The relationship, be all things to all people. Don't let somebody down. And now I can finally say, all right, those are not my choices. I mean, those are not my responsibilities. I can present Al to the world, and loss is a natural order of things. As long as I'm being forthright, contributing positively, being honest, being self-reflective, bringing my critical thinking, emotional intelligence self to the table, and I'm willing to be accountable. So the positive output of all of that, just to wrap it up, is my fierce personal accountability. It's not my fault. It does not exist in my vocabulary.
Right.
And I want to own the things that I can own just as much as I want to be there for people, but I'm not going to let them down because I let them down. And I can't control that. And that was a burden that is taken, probably, honestly, it's been the last year, I think. It's still present, but I think and you guys know that, right? Yeah. Just to even get here to this podcast and talk like this as openly is huge for the three of us.
It really is. Hey, Mark, what about you? Same question back at you.
So interesting. I'll tell you a story. So I had this condo, and I had a date, and I was going to make dinner for my date. And it was the first time she had ever been over to the house. And so I'm finishing up making dinner and I had this wall of all these pictures. And she's like, "Oh, is that your parents?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, where do they live?" I'm like, "Well, they're dead." And she's like, "Oh, who was in the Air Force?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my brother." "Oh, where's he live now?" "Oh, he's dead." "Oh, who are these people? They look like grandparents." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are they still alive?" I'm like, "No, they're dead." And it was really funny, in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way. She's like, "Are you like in the witness protection or something? Like, how is it that I was 24? She's like, "How is it that you're 24 and like everybody's dead?" And I'm like, "I really can't tell you those things." But all kidding aside, I mean, I used to make up stories because it was so weird, but I had my first loss at 7. My brother died, and my grandfather died 6 months after that. And then I had a series of deaths all the way through my parents, dad when I was 17, mom when I was 24. Everybody. I mean, I have one brother who's left, and 2 sisters, and but really everybody's gone. And the positive piece to that is it brought me closer to God. When my brother died, and I don't really tell anybody this story, I've told Al, but the fact that I'm actually sharing this on a podcast is odd for me. But, if we're going to be vulnerable and real, when David died, I was 7, and I remember my brother Steve telling me this story later, that mom prayed on the way home, "Where'd you take my son?" And there was a rainbow when we got home from the funeral from one side of our house to the other, and a dove flew over our home.
Wow.
And the night before my father died, I always believed that David was my guardian angel. And the night before my father died, I remember taking a picture off my mirror of David I used to keep on there. He was in the Air Force. And I remember begging with him, and I'm like, please don't come and take him. Please. I'm not ready. And I cried and I fell asleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I didn't even understand why I was holding his picture. I'm like, this is weird. And I put it away back in the mirror. And I'm like, odd. Okay, whatever. And I went on with my day. And later that afternoon, my father passed away. And I didn't actually remember that story until later. But he came and told me that he was coming to get Dad. And throughout my life, 2 things have happened positively. One, it's definitely given me a relationship with God that I don't think I would have had otherwise, because I don't think I would have made it through all of that without him in my life. And so that's a blessing. 2, which is kind of a blessing and a curse. My parents were successful furniture designers. Now, they went through a whole lot of drama and died broke, but they were magazine cover furniture designers. And after they passed away, I have lived a life which has been difficult of not wanting to disappoint them. And so a lot of the decisions I make, I base it on, would mom and dad be proud of me? Because I can't ask them. So I operate under that.
So, Mark, how does that, because I'm sitting here, first of all, thank you for sharing that with all of us.
Yeah, thank you.
That was
Man.
a beautiful story, quite honestly, and one will hold. I'm just thinking about the 3 stories, like the little snippets, right, that we've just shared, and how, maybe the more direct question is how, even today, as you live your life, really thinking about the driver of, is what you're doing would that make your parents proud? How does that add, or maybe not, to how you overcomplicate anything, but probably lots of little things, which then makes them more complex than they actually need to be? What's the drive? Like, what does that look like?
And I would think that maybe a number of our listeners share this, whether it's a actual death, loss, or a loss of a relationship. But it's overcomplicated my life a lot because I've overthought almost every decision that I've had to make. Like, is this the right decision? Is this, have I thought about this? What would be the impact? What would be the image? So question after question after question until I'm almost exhausted because I've overthought the decision. So while I'm quick in a business sense, I can make decisions quickly. I can see around the corner. I know where everything's going. When it comes to my own personal life, totally different. So there's the business Mark that can make big strategic decisions. And then there's the personal Mark who's like, I don't even know what I want for dinner. And I put limitations on myself, or I'll talk myself out of ideas. So I overcomplicate and complexify a lot of things because of those deaths. So much so I didn't even go into the industry that I wanted to go into. I wanted to be an actor, a broadcast journalist, somewhere around there. And so I didn't do those things because I overthought it, and in some ways missed my window at the time, which is why I'm so grateful for this, because I believe this is what I was meant to do. So, yeah. But I'm thankful. And here's why. If I didn't have all of that happened, I would not be here today. I would be a different version of myself that would not have the ability to be here with the blessing of the both of you. And that's where the religious part comes back, that I'm thankful to God that those things happen, because I heard someone say, and I can't remember who it was, but if you're thankful for life and you're thankful for what God has given you, you can't just be thankful for the good things.
Yeah.
Well,
so
yeah, that's akin to when I talk about faith. We've all had this conversation. Yeah. You don't get to only have faith when it's good, when it's convenient, right? When things are bad, whatever your journey of faith is, I mean faith, just faith in something, yourself or a higher power or whatever. You can't just have faith when things are going great and then say when things are bad. Faith isn't like part-time. Right. I think it's the same thing. You're either all in or not. I'm just sitting here listening to the three of us, and the other thing that all three of us are so careful. Careful is not the word. What we're so aware of is serving one another. Mm-hmm. And I think in some weird way, it's a version of our losses. Like, I still don't want to let Phyllis down. I want Phyllis's voice to be heard because I know that's important to her. It's not like I'm letting her down. It's just like,
Don't let me down.
Yeah, I won't. Well, I've already let you down so many times. I know I have. It's like,
well, if we're keeping count, how many times
I came here
with
one shred of toilet paper that maybe an ant could use.
That was very disappointing, I have to say.
I actually kind of like it. And if you had actually bought into my analogy and my metaphor,
I got you.
I think that you would be actually hugging me right now because it was a darn good metaphor.
It was good.
But no, I mean, we run into it on the microphone sometimes. Oh, no, you go. Oh, you go. And so that's a funny version and expression of not wanting to let the other person down, to please others. But by the same token, I want to ask the question because we want to be able to give you, meaning you, the person that's listening to this, it's important for us to share when we do these shows without a guest. It's just us having our convo. And we're hoping that it's something that is meaningful to you. But we're also really committed to what did you learn? Which you're hearing, obviously, but also what's something we can take away? And that's what I'd like to ask is, each of us have our own versions of loss, as we've now shared. And we're talking about a micro cosm of the macro of our lives. But we're going to, again, put these in the show notes, blah, 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 blah. But if somebody's listening to this, Phyllis, when it comes to loss, whatever that loss is, what's your advice? What's your advice to them in not complicating their life as a result of loss?
I would say this based on my own experience. I just said this to somebody this morning. there's only one, in my opinion, way to be with loss. Like there's no, let me say it differently. There's no escaping grief. The only way is to go through. And it may take years to go through and get to whatever is on the other side, which is different than what was on the side before you lost somebody or before something traumatic happened to you. But to push that aside, in my opinion, prolongs and creates some kind of odd chemistry that will continuously serve as a barrier and create more barriers and more barriers. Those barriers are what overcomplicate decision-making, life, choices at the time, and make everything more complex than it needs to be. And so it's taken me a lifetime literally a lifetime to figure out and to make peace with. I will never be able to outrun death of somebody I care about, my own death, loss of a loved one. That's not possible. So I've just found a different way to start to make peace with that. And because of that, my life is not just richer, it's much less complicated. I do not have like the gray cloud of worry with me all the time. I have it sometimes for sure, but it is so much less than before. And the other thing I'll just share with you, and I'm sharing my experience. With that loss came an inordinate amount of shame. And that shame colored my life for years and years and is directly tied to inability to make a decision or not trusting myself or feeling less than when the whole world around me is seeing somebody completely different. That juxtaposition is like way more, I think, than any of us can really handle. So my hope for people who are listening is, and I know we'll have notes, like show notes and things we can share with people, is to find whatever help looks like for you when you're ready for that, but not to minimize or let anybody else minimize the pain of loss and the trauma of loss, because it's real and it looks different for each of us, and that should be honored.
I would say that for me, my advice is at your own pace, because we all have our own way we process, but at your own pace, walk into the fire of the pain. That may be prayer, that may be meditation, that may be journaling, that may be self-affirmation, that may be screaming from a top of Mount Kilimanjaro that you've just hiked in it because you had to do it. But tiptoe, walk, run, plunge into the pain, whatever pace you have to do. I was literally, and I know we don't talk about time stamping this, but last night I did a friend of mine's podcast. His name is Brett Blankenship, one of my very, very, very dearest longtime friends. And Brett talked about his theory. And his theory was there's A, B, and C, and you got to go from A, and everybody wants to get to B, but they don't want to deal with C. And the idea being that you start with A, you next go to B, and then you eventually end up at C. And what I said to him was, I said, can I throw out another take on that? And the take was, we so often are at A in the beginning and we want to get to C and we want to bypass B, but B is where you need to most be. And that's what we talked about. B is where the pain is. B is where the learning is. B is where the uncomfortable is. B is where the joy is. But we don't see those things because we're immersed in it. We're drowning in it. But it's that B that has to happen that gets you to C. And so whatever that version of that truth is for you, my advice is walk into that fire, address it, learn from it, put it down so that you have the knowledge to think and feel through what's going on in your life. And there's no scorecard on it and set time. But if you don't, to your point, Phyllis, do that, you're just going to be stuck repeating the same old thing on a hamster wheel of vicious pain. And but there's real light at the end of this if you walk into it. So that's my advice.
So there was this rabbi who shared this story, and I thought it was interesting. He said a lobster goes through life, and when it starts growing out of its shell, it swims down to the bottom of the ocean, and it sheds its shell, and it hides for a while the new shell comes on. And the impetus of it going down and removing its shell and getting a new one is pain, right? It's growing out of its shell. And so it hurts. Well, he laughed and said if that lobster lived with us, it would take some antidepressants and it would take some medication and it would feel no pain, and therefore it would never lose its shell and it would never grow. So I've probably butchered that story. So if the rabbi's listening, I apologize. But I love his concept, which is in order to grow, you're going to have to feel the pain, and you're going to have to let go of that shell, and you're going to have to grow a new one, and it's going to happen again and again. And that is a beautiful thing to know, that you have survived your hardest days so far, and that it is an opportunity, if you're willing to accept it, to grow. And we can either be wounded and live that way, or we can become wiser. And it's our choice to live wounded or to live wiser based on the things that we've experienced. And, it's a beautiful thing. If you're sad, depressed, that someone is no longer in your life, whether it's death or whether it's a breakup or whatever that loss is, financial, mostly a person though. But if in a sense of what I'm about to say, the sadness is because you loved someone and someone loved you. And how beautiful is that? How beautiful is the fact that you loved another person and another person loved you. And it's sad that they're not here, but if we can grow from that relationship, if we can learn from that relationship, what a great place to be. And Phyllis, to your story, there was a priest once told the story of, there was a father and daughter driving through the rainstorm, and it was pouring. You couldn't see. You're driving, windshield wipers going full speed, and the rain's coming down, and you just can't see. And daughter wanted to pull off the highway, and the father says, "No, just keep going, slow and steady. Just keep going." And it's raining, and she's scared, and it's pouring, and people are pulling off to the side of the road because they can't see. And he's like, "Just trust, keep going forward, and just keep driving." Well, about 20 or 30 minutes, the rain clears up, and it's bright, beautiful skies, and she continues down the highway. Everybody else is still sitting in the storm, waiting for it to pass. So keep moving forward. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on how to deal with all this stuff.
So interestingly, while we were having this conversation, I looked down and I have like books stacked up, so all of the equipment will be where it's supposed to be. And I'm staring at this book called The Well of Being. And very dear friends gave me this book when I turned 50. And not a coincidence, I don't think, because it really is about, there are multiple stories in the book. And I will recommend the book because it is one resource to look at life differently through different stories and find simplicity, the joy, the beauty in simplicity, because it just is. Not everything is complicated. We think it is, but in reality, not so much.
And I think we have arrived at the time that we should probably exit the stall. Couple of quick things. Name of that book again?
The Well of Being.
Okay, that's in the show notes. Also, if you have experienced loss in your life, if there's something going on, whether it's personal loss, whatever. If you've experienced personal loss and it's just getting too much to you, there's resources below in the show notes. Don't hesitate. Reach out. There's phone numbers and links down there for you to get the help that you need at any given time. I love that we came here with there was no script to the shared pain. We just said it's shared pain. In my mind, I was thinking the shared pain of how we've all made things more complicated, and completely blanked for a moment, Mark, that, we all realize, and just to give everybody color, we were only sitting together for about an hour and a half or 2 hours up in Charleston, South Carolina with Phyllis in her town, and we decided to go for a walk. And we were talking and we found this bench, beautiful bench, and we sat down, and the next thing you know, we all realized for the very first time that we all had this loss, this shared pain. But I didn't put two and two together. So Mark, thanks for making this a beautiful show, brother.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Phyllis. It's great that we're able to share this with everybody and let people know you're not alone. I think I'd like to end on that. Like, for me, you're not alone. Don't feel alone. There are resources out there for you. Call a friend. They'll listen. Call two friends. Whatever you need to do. See a spiritual leader. It doesn't matter, but don't feel like you have to do this by yourself. There's no shame in this, right? We're all in the same boat. And so please, if you're feeling further down than you feel like you should, please find a resource.
Mark, I think we should actually just all call you.
You can.
Because between the bombs you dropped on me of great advice and sage advice on the car back, and you always have a story. You always have so let me tell you about the, you're like the walking Reader's Digest Almanac Bible. If we were talking about potato chips.
It's going to get all big, and then we're going to have to deal
Look
with
at it. It's already
the rest.
big
It's
enough.
Huge.
No, I actually
Jeez.
think he's actually having one of those little internal moments that's making him feel like vivaciously
All right, we'll let you have that,
lovable.
Mark. Yeah, you got that.
If we we should just let's do word association with Mark, Phyllis, one day. Let's just I'll drop a word like potato chip, and then Mark will be talking, and then he'll just go, so there's this story about this man and a chip.
About this man and a potato.
Right, exactly.
Oh, I actually do have one.
No. We are out of here. We are leaving the stall only to return again. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for allowing us to be the versions we are of each other and ourselves today and together. And thank you for stepping into the stall. This is the complexity of toilet paper.
Did you say toilet paper?
I'm overthinking. I'm overthinking.
Everything complicated. One big medieval mess.